Hello, everybody.
Hello, Aaron.
I'm at the thing today with the thing. I'm going and being social with people, and I'm celebrating it by sitting here in the speaker's lounge with you all. I totally forgot to do the doodly-doo last time, so I'm just going to say now before I forget, hi, you're all at the Kubernetes 114 release team meeting. Actually, guess it's Burndown meeting. Today is Friday, March the 8th, and you are all being publicly recorded and will adhere to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to please don't be a jerk. Let's see. So yesterday was super fun. I must have watched the YouTube video and like mouthed along to the lyrics at least 3 times. It was pretty cool. Special thanks to Claire for helping sort of go through yesterday and start to poke a little bit harder at some of the PRs that maybe don't make sense in the context of code freeze.
Sure.
So with that,
enhancements. Feeling pretty green today since code freeze was yesterday, and we removed the one last enhancement that had open PRs. Everyone else was able to get the PRs that were needed merged through, or their PRs had the LGTM or approved labels on them. So yeah, we're down to 30 enhancements for 114.
Awesome. Are any of these labeled at risk anymore, or are we like super green for every single enhancement?
So I've left the ones that had open PRs in the at-risk state, but all of those open PRs had the LGTM or approved labels, so I'm happy to move them to track if we think they're safe enough to go through.
That's probably a valuable thing. Yeah, I guess until they have landed, it feels like they're not actually code complete. And I've been using the at-risk designation as a proxy for, do we actually know if these are being tested? Yeah, your call.
Okay, I'll leave them at risk until those PRs get fully merged.
Okay. Oh no, Maria, you didn't. You didn't. You
It's not my fault.
the color,
We should have an orange.
stoplight color. What is going on with CI/sig?
Okay, so a couple of words on numbers first, and then I'll dig into a bit more detail. So we've got 2 jobs failing in each of master blocking and non-putting blocking. That's verify GoDebs and ingress timeouts, I believe, and that's the same for both of them. They're both quite recent failures. They happened overnight to this morning, so they're quite fresh. And then 3 failing jobs in master upgrade. The route for them is kind of the same that we talked about on back on Wednesday, with clusters just having a tough time upgrading and leaving stuff behind them. And one of them is failing due to flaky tests underneath it. Then in order of what seems most worrying at the moment, the first one is the resource usage tracking test from that is owned by SigNode. There were a couple of successes yesterday from what I remember, so it could mean that this is just very flaky, but just generally I've had a bit of a struggle just getting in touch with SigNode. My plan is to try and catch up with them at the next SIG meeting, I suppose, but if you know any people that could help triage that, that would be really helpful, because it has been failing for about a week, I think now.
Okay, I can go make noise in their chat.
Okay. Oh, thank you. As I said, there are 2 new failures. They're both the same, and they happen in marketing blocking and master blocking. One is verify GoDebs, and there's an open PR for it, and the other one is for ingress jobs. It seems from a quick look that the layer 7 controllers do not remove rules within the timeout of the testers is expecting. I've created the issue a few hours ago. I don't think there's been any activity yet. And I also want to just go back to the errors and see whether it's a GK problem. But I will keep an eye on that in the next couple of days. And then for some good news, the top flakes in terms of like how often they flake are getting a lot of attention. They're getting a lot of PRs. A couple of them have already been closed. So some from SIG storage, and there's an ongoing one from SIG network. And the next step for us is just to go, I guess, down the priority list of things that are flake quite frequently, but not as much as the top ones. That's part 1 and part 2. At the same time, just keep an eye on the ones that have been resolved for a week or so, just so we can see that there is that they're indeed, like, there's been a significant difference in stability. But that's been quite encouraging to see. The only one there that has not been merged yet is the one from SIG network on session affinity that doesn't hold. I think it's only waiting on the milestone. I was going to add it if that's okay. I don't know if it can be me or if it should be somebody else. Can you hear me?
Go for it.
The only thing I want to do is just check through the change, because it seems to remove, again, from a quick look, it seems to remove just a path, a testing path, and we just want to make sure that there's no, we're not missing out on coverage there. But other than that, it all looks good. And I plan to add the milestone and have it merged today. Any questions on all of that? The reason I'm saying red is mainly because there's a couple of failures and blocking jobs, and one has been going on for a while. Other than that, I think I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that we'll be in a better state on Monday. Yay!
Okay. So I will. My focus right now is basically, because I have a history of having done CI signal and bug triage in the past, is to help chase down these particular failures. So the two continuous failing tests, like you said, verify looks like that's been addressed. We just got to work on getting that through. And ingress, I'll go make noise, and then I will go make noise in SIG-node as well. But I could probably use help if anybody else in the Pacific time zone wants to help out with this stuff today.
My other question was there any news with the problems with upgrade tests that we talked about on Wednesday?
News in what sense?
So I remember the conversation that I've seen was that SIG storage and SIG network that had their tests affected by it were like, oh, this is because of the upgrade failing midway, and then this was triaged to quote unquote Google-owned code. So I'm not sure if there's something that I should be doing there.
Okay, let me go see if I can escalate and see what comes of that.
Okay, no problem. In the meantime, I've reached out to folks whose tests were affected. They have alternative tests in other dashboards, so we're tracking these for CI signal for now, in terms of like to actually get in signal and whether things are broken until the release dashboards are healthy again.
Sure, but so just so I understand the consequence here, we're saying like our upgrade jobs are continuously failing, so we actually have no way of knowing whether or not Kubernetes 1.14 is a safe upgrade.
That is, let me have a look. I don't know if it is the whole job or a couple of tests that are affected by it. At the moment, there's timeouts. That is a different issue, but like, find it. I believe there were specific tests that were affected and not the whole job just not running. Not that it's much better, but it is a little bit better.
Okay. Oftentimes, sometimes one of the problems with upgrade test failures is people feel like they fixed it in master, but it turns out the same fix needs to be cherry picked back to 1.13. So, all right. Like I said, I will see how much I can raise visibility on this stuff today.
Okay.
Okay, next up we have, unless there are any other questions. Niko, what do you got for us?
Hello. So, pending issues and PRs. There are about 30 PRs in total. Half of them are already approved LGTM. In terms of stuff coming up from features, everything is pretty much fine. Nothing is in danger, and the only thing in danger is the CI. Lots of critical urgent bugs that need pinging, and Nicholas Lane can help with that today. I will scan throughout the remaining PRs from Monday onwards to pick anything that pops up that is in danger, release blocking, etc. But other than that, everything else looks fine.
Okay, thanks for your help, Niko. Hopefully Claire and I were helpful last night. Amit, what's going on with test infra?
Yeah, so test infra is looking pretty green now. We merged about 56 PRs yesterday, and the code freeze was pretty successful. I didn't see any PRs without the 114 milestone going. So that's good. Prow is fairly stable now. We are still seeing some intermittent GitHub API limits, but that's going to need some important soon redesign in Prow. There's nothing critical urgent there. So yeah, test infra is looking good for this release.
Okay. I've been trying to keep an eye on Tide's batch runs, since those are usually what our merge velocity is impacted by, how often those succeed. I feel like there are a number of flakes happening there, but otherwise the stability seems okay. Okay. Docs, Jim.
Yep, thanks, Aaron. So I have a current status of yellow. It'd be more of a yellowish green, but I wanted to stick with one because I've been going with yellowish green the past couple times now. But so we have all the docs in, which is good. The two late ones, either the enhancements was shifted off or they got their docs in. So right now I'm looking at a new metric as far as what do we have in draft versus ready for review. The answer to that is we have 6 in draft currently, and then that's out of 22, so roughly 27% are still in draft. The problem with tracking draft as a metric is that there could be a vast difference between this open PR that's blank versus, it's 3/4 done of a draft here, just need to do some minor tweaks. So me, along with the shadows, are going to work on, over the next couple of days, making sure all those drafts are in line, and that we're communicating with them and all good to go, as Monday 3/11 is the deadline to have everything ready to review. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's anything triage-wise we can do to help, let us know, but it sounds like you have that well in hand. Release notes.
Yeah, so current status is green. There's the latest PR submitted by Lindsay here. We also have our draft document up that we are working off of all the edits that we're making to release notes, and we'll make sure to send these out to all the SIGs and make sure everybody has access to those drafts.
Okay, so I apologize if I'm asking the exact same question I asked last time, but I feel like we talked about giving y'all an editorial voice and maybe making the release notes a little more friendly to users. But I feel like what I'm seeing here is a lot of release notes in the draft anyway, like a lot of release notes that call out each of the individual SIGs. And I was curious if we're planning on changing how we're doing that.
Yeah, that's what we're working on now. What you see there in the draft document is kind of raw notes. We started pulling some stuff in just from like external dependencies and working on that. But the editorial voice part, you should see more of that next week. And when we do an update on the PR to submit the draft release notes, those will be in there.
Okay. That sounds good. I don't have the best memory, so I apologize if I just kind of keep asking about this until we start.
No. Perfectly fine.
And thank you for reminding me about third-party dependencies, because I feel like at some point next week we'll want to like put in a line where we kind of review that. But okay. Okay, I tried to push us through everything so we could get to Natasha or Kaitlyn.
It's Kaitlyn today.
Okay.
So we have the first draft of the blog post that I've linked to in here, which will be finalized today for us to send out to review on Tuesday. Just please note that if you're viewing this document, it is embargoed until the release time on March 25th, meaning this content can't be used for like other blog posts that you might be pushing out otherwise before that date. So the features that we're planning to highlight, Windows Server containers going GA, the updated plugin mechanism for kubectl, also GA, durable local storage management, GA, and PID limiting, which is in beta. Any feedback, questions, concerns with these four that we're highlighting?
All right, I gave Aaron, you're speaking without mute.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a good thing. Please, somebody else say something for once.
Well, I'm going to say this, Aaron. I know that you and I had the conversation yesterday on this, and today's cat t-shirt should have been a cat jumping out the window.
Yeah, this all looks reasonable to me. I think I'm especially looking for, I'm not seeing Claire jump out the window that these are the features that we're talking about. I think we talked about maybe trying to find a way to talk about extensibility as a common theme amongst some of these, and that feels like it's not a strong theme amongst some of these, but we have a couple things that can speak to that. So it seems cool.
Yep.
I'll try and dive in and give deeper feedback later if I can on the doc. That's cool.
Awesome. And then for the additional notable features, we have a few called out here. These are kind of just one sentence overviews of just things to note, similar to the release notes in a sense. So if there's anything else people want to call out here, we can certainly add to this list as well.
Sure, I'll put it this way. I'm not gonna, like, if this goes out the door literally as it is right now, that's fine, I'll live. I would really like to try and add some input as well.
Yep. And then for the 5-day series, it'll be those 4 features that we're leading with, and then the pod priority and preemption. The other thing is we're not limited to 5 blog posts here, so if anybody else wants to participate in this, we can certainly expand it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other questions?
I had one, Kaitlyn. Was there any discussion about customize? I see it being re-added, but not talked about. And given some of the things that happened when it was last added, seems weird that it's not in the blog.
No, we had not talked about that.
So I see a feature there on the enhancements, 633, integrate customize into kubectl. I just wondered about that. It's just glaring me in the face. Why isn't it in the blog? Don't know, but there was, I mean, we all know the story.
That's a fair question. I will see if I can reach out to the SIG CLI chairs to see whether they would prefer to talk about that in lieu of kubectl plugins and the support for that. My hope would be we could talk about both of those in the same context to sort of explain why Customize could not be implemented as a plugin. If that's still the way it's going, I don't know.
I think it's still experimental. That's why they might not want to add it to the blog.
Yeah. Does that seem reasonable to you, Lachie?
Yeah, that's fine. It just is strange that it's, it's a big movement for sig-CLI and it's not really mentioned. Would you not want to get eyes on it?
Yeah, that's a very.
I don't know. I don't know. Just scanning through to kind of top level functionality that's exposed to users. That's one that's kind of glaringly obvious.
Yeah. Let's you and I maybe chat offline and see if we can find somebody who is not super exhausted of writing long paragraphs about Customize.
Okay.
I guess a question I had for you, Kaitlyn, just since you mentioned embargo, and this is a publicly recorded meeting, I can take the liberty of like trimming this particular portion out if you want me to. I have been trying to not be super specific about what I'm commenting on. I am totally open to your discretion though.
I think this is fine. I mean, all the feature, people can kind of speculate what we're going to highlight. It's all publicly available. It's more just using the specific narrative of the blog post.
Okay, that clears it up for me. Hannes, how are we looking on release branch management?
Hello, everybody. Well, we are looking good. There is nothing really new. As already mentioned this week, the next cut will be next Tuesday for Beta 2. And other than that, a bit off topic for the Burndown meeting, but still maybe interesting. The artifact generation cap from sig-CLI, cluster lifecycle has been merged as implementable. And there is the other cap for package publishing. I will try to follow up this next week and hopefully get that merged too. That's all from my side. Any questions?
None here. Okay, so thank you everybody for your updates. Given everything that everybody has said, I'm feeling like my status is a yellow. I'm greatly encouraged that we all mostly chose to stick to the stoplight single color. That totally warms my heart. And most of you chose green. That's also really encouraging. I think the main thing that's freaking me out is our CI signal at the moment. Because everything seems to be flaking so much, I kind of am sitting here having this only vague ambient sense that we're fixing stuff, but I actually can't tell if we're making the situation better. And I also can't tell if we're allowing new bugs or regressions to sneak in. So I do appreciate that people are working on it. And that's sort of why I'm trying to continue to see if we can make the right progress there. I think the big question I had for everybody, we talked about this, I believe on Monday, was next week, Burndown meetings are going to happen every day. So I expect every person here to either be at this meeting every day or to have a shadow at this meeting every day to give readouts similar to what we just did. And we'll probably spend some time digging in on a couple concrete problems because things always come up. One thought I had was we have been running a meeting on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, hoping that would be a little better for European contributors. I'm not sure, though, that was super actively attended. But we could try to continue to use that time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we could say that Burndown is sort of the Pacific 10 a.m. time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Pacific 8 a.m. time, European friendly-ish, Tuesday, Thursday. Would you rather do that? Or would you rather we just do same time every day?
I would like to do the European time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but if that's not gonna happen, like the current time is also fine.
I'd also prefer the European time zone as well for Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's a bit earlier for us.
I'm also interested in doing the European time zone thing. I'm awake then anyway these days. Everybody else who hasn't spoken up, do you think you can be present Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, or you can find one of your shadows to do that?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I can be there.
Okay.
I'm good with that too.
I appreciate everybody's flexibility here. Just because of the way that Zoom recurring meetings and weird stuff work, I think we're going to have to use like a slightly different Zoom link for Tuesdays and Thursdays because it is at a different time. So I will try to set up the calendar accordingly, and both of the links are called out as such in the doc. And I think that's all I had for this super awesome Friday. Anything I have left out?
I threw one thing on there down at the very bottom, anything not on the agenda. I just noticed looking through test grid that there's a oddity in scale. And I know last week or the week before there'd been some scale issues and the scale folks were looking at them. But this one seems like it's been an issue for a couple of weeks. So I found the test owner, I labeled that in the issue, labeled it critical urgent, just because these scale things, when the tests run a long time, they can be slow to fix and especially verify fixed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. So this is actually something I could probably use some help with from somebody in the European time zone, because I'm really looking hard to the SIG scalability chairs for a go, no-go decision on whether or not we're still comfortable moving forward with Golang 112, or if we feel like perhaps the introduction of Golang 112 has changed the performance characteristics of Kubernetes for the worse. And because this job continues to be read, it was read before we introduced Golang 112, it's still read now. It's difficult for me to understand if we've made a clear decision on that. So Shyam is one of the chairs, and he's, I believe, in the Pacific time zone, so I can try that angle. But Wojtek often speaks with a little more emphasis and authority on this sort of stuff, and is, if I'm not mistaken, in Poland. So having somebody sort of reach out to him and get that dialogue going on Monday, if we find that the situation is the same on Monday, would be really helpful for me. Maria, can you make sure that somebody from your team kicks that off?
Yep, yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, every release right now, there's almost always a scalability thing, and these jobs take forever to run. So hopefully this is the one scalability thing, and we can address this sooner rather than later. Okay, cool. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you day after day after day next week as we enter the final phase of Burndown. All right, see you later.
See you. Bye.